Content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Hello, this is Will Evans, and for the next hour, I'll be reading from the July 31st, 2026 issue of the Tribune/Sentinel, covering Niagara County and Grand Island on the Niagara Frontier radio reading service. Leading off, Hibbard's Dick and Marie Smothers team for new custard collab benefiting Heart, Love, and Soul. Two icons have teamed to support a local agency and to make summer oh so much sweeter. Hibbard's Original Frozen Custard has partnered with Dick Smothers on a special new flavor inspired by a Dutch treat. The dessert will debut this weekend. A portion of the proceeds will benefit Heart, Love, and Soul, and $10,000 was already donated as part of the naming rights. Dick Smothers' Stoop Waffle will be available Saturday and Sunday, and then as part of the rotating guest flavors joining the Core 4 at Hibbard's, and that's chocolate, vanilla, black raspberry, and pistachio, which are available daily. At a recent charity event, Mark Bateshold from Heart, Love, and Soul got a hold of me and said he was looking for something that might be able to raise some money for Heart, Love, and Soul Food Pantry, and asked if there was, because of the Bare Naked Ladies collaboration, whether that would be something that we would consider. Hibbard's proprietor, Chris Trunzo, explained. And I said, sure, if it's going to raise money for Heart, Love, and Soul, we'd love to, never thinking how much money it would raise. In fact, the custard naming outpaced other prize packages from notable Western New York donors, including Russell Salvatore and the Buffalo Bills. Bidders were looking to join the Bare Naked Ladies in having a signature recipe at Hibbard's. The Canadian band helped launch Big Bare Naked Bang in 2022. Smothers, one half of the iconic Smothers Brothers comedy act, and his wife Marie were relentless, Trunzo said, in their quest to obtain the prize. A bidding war ensued before the final offer of $10,000 was presented. Following the event, we brought them into the back room, and Dan, our manager, made up 4 or 5 different test models, and this just seemed to flow because it's called Dick Smothers' Stroop Waffle, Trunzo said. If anybody knows what a Stroop waffle is, it's a very, very thin double waffle with a bunch of caramel in the middle. And that's this. This is caramel based. We put waffle chips in it, and we put caramel cups in it. I couldn't be more pleased, Dick Smothers said. My wife is so involved in the community. Trunzo said, we are so very grateful that you decided to collaborate with us on this great flavor. Smothers said, the main thing is charity. Trunzo noted, a portion of the proceeds will be going to Heart, Love, and Soul every year. Executive Director Bateshold said, we are incredibly grateful to Dick and Marie Smothers for their extraordinary generosity and continued commitment to Heart, Love, and Soul. Their support, along with the generosity of Hibbard's Frozen Custard and our Western New York community, helps us continue providing meals, resources, and opportunities for our guests. This has been a fun partnership, and we can't wait for everyone to try the Smothers' signature flavor. Dick and Marie have become adopted Lewistonians. He even served as a parade marshal at last year's Niagara County Peach Festival. I found this jewel of a town, Smothers said, and a place with such a great community. I can't believe this little village. It is so precious. Smothers joked his custard flavor suggestions included sauerkraut and dill pickles. I have an odd sense of taste, he quipped. In all actuality, Smothers is a food service veteran. My first job, other than mowing lawns, was at McDonald's, and I was on malts, he said. I have a thing for malts and shakes and ice creams. I went up to French fries, then I became a rapper. They don't rap anymore. They got styrofoam, you know. You have to have this coordination to rap. There's so many of us that have been in the service business. And then when you're a kid, I come here and I see these young people, and they're running and working and doing stuff. and they're learning how to deal with people, Smothers said. In and out, and that's a very good trait. Trunzo said, being opened as we have for 87 years, we have people come that this was their first job, and they're 80-something. We've had couples meet each other here and get married and bring their babies and set them on the counter because this was the first place they ever had custard. Smothers said, the quality of life in a little village like this is so amazing. Family owned and seasonally operated since 1939, Hibbard's original frozen custard is located at 105 Portage Road. For more information, specials, and social media links, visit www.hibbardscustard.com/dot. Castellani Art Museum names Niagara Frontier Publications featured media partner for 2026-27 season. The Castellani Art Museum of Niagara University, or the CAM, is proud to announce Niagara Frontier Publications, NFP, as its featured media partner for the museum's 2026-27 exhibition and program season. The year-long collaboration reflects a shared commitment to strengthening community connections through local storytelling. Throughout the season, CAM and NFP will work together to highlight exhibitions, public programs, educational initiatives, artists, and the people who make Niagara's cultural community thrive. Local journalism and local arts organizations share a common mission, connecting communities through meaningful stories, said Michael Beam, interim director of the Castellani Art Museum. We are excited to collaborate with Niagara Frontier Publications to amplify the voices of artists, students, educators, and community members throughout the coming year. The collaboration will officially launch with a guest editorial by Beam on July 30th and will include ongoing editorial coverage, cross-promotional storytelling, recognition of NFP as CAM's featured media partner, and dedicated placement in all 3 issues of the CAM magazine during the 2026-27 season. At the Castellani Art Museum, we believe art becomes most meaningful when it is shared, said Jess Minicucci, head of marketing and membership. This collaboration is about more than promoting exhibitions. It's about fostering goodwill throughout our community, celebrating the people and stories that make our region unique, and working together to ensure that art remains accessible to everyone. We couldn't ask for a better partner to help us continue that mission. How fortunate are we to have a world-class art gallery right in our backyard, said Joshua Maloney, General Manager and Managing Editor of Niagara Frontier Publications. As the hometown newspaper, we believe we are uniquely capable of connecting the community with the Castellani Art Museum. We are thrilled to shine a larger spotlight on a true local gem. Niagara Frontier Publications serves the river region, Niagara County, and Grand Island communities through its flagship publication, the Tribune/Sentinel, Dispatch, and its digital news platform, WesternNewYorkPapers.com. Together, CAM and NFP look forward to sharing stories that celebrate local creativity, inspire curiosity, and encourage greater participation in the arts, reinforcing the museum's belief that art is for everyone. With learning and public access at the heart of its mission, CAM is the premier resource for the visual arts in Niagara County. The museum's permanent collection includes over 5,000 pieces of modern and contemporary art, Niagara Falls art, and regional folk arts. CAM is committed to the preservation of these artworks, along with offering exhibitions and programs that serve the campus, local communities, and tourists. For more information on the CAM, visit castellaniartmuseum.org and follow CAM's Facebook page, X @CAM of NU, and Instagram @Castellani Art Museum. Niagara Frontier Publications was founded by publishers Skip and Judy Mazenauer of Grand Island. Over the years, it has received numerous awards for editorial content and marketing creativity, including accolades from the New York Press Association, the Niagara County Legislature, the Upward Niagara Chamber of Commerce, the Grand Island Chamber of Commerce, the Historical Association of Lewiston, the Kiwanis Club of Lewiston, Community Missions, and the Lewiston-Porter Central School District. Niagara Falls Memorial appoints Emmy-winning communications leader Katie Morse as Vice President of Marketing and Communications. Niagara Falls Memorial Medical Center announced the appointment of Katie Morse as Vice President of Marketing and Communications. Morse will lead the medical center's marketing, communications, media relations, and community engagement efforts, supporting Memorial's mission to provide exceptional care to the communities it serves. Morse is an Emmy Award-winning communications professional with nearly 20 years of experience in strategic communications, public relations, brand development, and media relations. She has built a career crafting clear, compelling stories in fast-moving, high-pressure environments, earning the confidence of audiences and communities across Western New York. Prior to joining Memorial, Morse served as a morning news anchor and reporter at WKBW-TV Channel 7 in Buffalo, where she covered major stories impacting Western New York and became a trusted source of information during breaking news and community events. Her experience spans strategic communications, crisis communications, digital engagement, and public affairs, with a strong track record of building relationships across the region. In addition to her broadcast career, Morse has demonstrated leadership throughout the Western New York communications community. She most recently served as board chair and president of the Buffalo Broadcasters Association, helping guide the organization's strategic direction and industry initiatives. Katie is an outstanding addition to our leadership team, said Joe Ruffalo, president and CEO of the Niagara Falls Memorial Medical Center. Her experience as a strategic communicator, combined with her deep understanding of Western New York and her passion for community engagement, will help us continue to strengthen Memorial's connection with the patients and families we serve. We are excited to welcome her to the organization. It is an honor to join Niagara Falls Memorial Medical Center, Morse said. Memorial has a long-standing commitment to serving this community, and I look forward to helping tell the stories of the people, programs, and caregivers who make that mission possible while strengthening our connections throughout Western New York. Morse earned a Master of Business Administration from Canisius University and a Bachelor of Arts in Broadcast News from Kent State University. She is a 3-time New York State Emmy Award recipient and received a New York State Excellence in Broadcasting Award for WKBW's morning show, Good Morning Buffalo. More about Niagara Falls Memorial Medical Center. Founded in 1895, Niagara Falls Memorial Medical Center has a long tradition of serving the Niagara community. NFMMC's hospital and primary stroke program are accredited by the Accreditation Commission for Healthcare, and its primary care network is accredited by the National Committee for Quality Assurance. Memorial's inpatient service includes a cardiac/stroke unit, a medical surgical unit, an ICU, a labor and delivery unit, and an adult inpatient psychiatry unit, the only one of its kind in Niagara County. Memorial serves as a center for community health by operating 5 primary care centers, a large outpatient adult mental health clinic, a health home, and several innovative community-based services. Thanks to a partnership with Catholic Health, Kaleida Health, and Erie County Medical Center, NFMMC operates the only cardiac catheterization laboratory in Niagara County. Memorial is also home to the Golisano Medical Oncology Center, which operates in collaboration with Roswell Park Comprehensive Care Center. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Tribune/Sentinel, covering Niagara County and Grand Island. on the Niagara Frontier radio reading service. Our next article carries the headline, Paddles Up celebrates its 20th anniversary with kayaks and sunshine. Kayaks, eco tours, food trucks, and sunny weather were the highlights of the 20th anniversary of Paddles Up, held July 25th at Beaver Island State Park. The event was organized by the Niagara River Greenway Commission. Community Engagement Director Michelle Lockett said, "Looking at the registrations, it looks like about 250 participated, not including any of the safety paddlers, vendors, or volunteers, approximately 100. So approximately 350 people, maybe more, participated. This year, we added a couple of things. We had the classical and historical boats go out on the water, including an 1812 war replica. So the paddlers were able to see these boats, and then we have free e-bike trial rides down by the parking area. This year, we're raffling off a kayak." Additionally, one of the event's founders was presented with an award. Lockett said, 20 years ago, Niagara River Greenway started Paddles Up as their signature event. Paul Luckner was the founder. He is still paddling with us today. He's an eco-tour guide and a safety paddler. As a matter of fact, we awarded him a nice appreciation plaque this year in memory of the 20th anniversary of Paddles Up. We wanted to recognize him for all of his efforts in helping Paddles Up to be the successful event that it is today. Tracy Fletcher of the Buffalo Niagara Riverland Trust said her goal at the event was recognition of her organization. Today, we're just getting the word out about who we are, letting folks make a little seed dumpling, if they like, with some wildflower seeds and some coloring pages for the kids. We're just trying to get our name out there so people know who we are. The mission of the Buffalo Niagara Riverland Trust, Fletcher said, is to look for contaminated brownfields along western New York waterfronts and either purchase them or put conservation easements on them with the landowners so that we can protect them in perpetuity with the goal of making them publicly accessible. The Buffalo Niagara Riverland Trust also does a lot of work with invasive species removal. Invasive plants that are frequently found in this area include Japanese knotweed and mugwort. Kevin Tock, who is with Surf Rider Foundation, said, "We have a great time engaging with people here. People are willing to come up to you and talk and chat about what you have going on and learn about your organization. It's paddlers and like-minded people, too. We have a nurdle contest. Guess the number of nurdles." The Surf Rider Foundation, Tock said, is a national organization dedicated to protecting the waves, beaches, and access to the waters of the oceans and Great Lakes. It does beach cleanups, collects and sorts trash to determine what types of things are discarded on beaches, and we look at different beaches and we see what type of different pollution washes up there, Tock said. One of the Surf Rider Foundation upcoming events is scheduled for late August in Pennsylvania. It's the Surf's Up Meetup in Presque Isle, Tock said. We do a beach cleanup and a barbecue, and we do a paddle out afterwards. It's August 22nd. Grand Island Recreation Department Supervisor Joe Mentor said, "The high point for me was the eco tour, especially seeing the osprey and hearing its beautiful call. We were in the East River Marsh by the osprey nesting platform talking about the history and habitat restoration when the osprey flew in and landed. The call is absolutely beautiful, so we just sat in the quiet of the marsh and listened for a minute. I explained the call was likely a guard call because we were so close to its nest. So we moved further down the marsh to give it space and finish our eco tour." Lockett said, "What I love about it is hearing from many of the attendees who said they had a good time or loved the event and actually thanking us. When we were shutting down, a man wearing the very first t-shirt from 2006 came up to me and was talking about how much he loved the event because he enjoys talking to all the different people and finding out where they had traveled from. He was impressed by how much the event grew from 2006, including many different events and vendors. He should be our spokesperson. I also like seeing people enjoying the eco-tours and speaking with the environmental exhibitors because I hope they leave the day learning something new. The man who won the kayak came and picked up yesterday. He said he didn't know that deer were on Grand Island or that they could swim. Now he does. Mentor said he likes meeting people for whom it is their first time in the Niagara River, showing them that it is safe. Being a member of the team that puts Paddles Up Niagara together to help people experience the Niagara River is a privilege. Moving on now, DiMiglio looks to put hometown touch on new Riverview Landing condominiums. If we're being honest, the first word that comes to mind when someone says development is often money, as in a developer's ability to make a profit from a parcel. But Anthony DiMiglio had a different word in mind when he set out to bring Riverview Landing condominiums to Youngstown. Home, as in a unique opportunity to bring something sought after to somewhere special. I think as a resident, it's really exciting to see a project like this. DiMiglio, president of AMD Environmental Consultants, said of the 15-unit project built off Nancy Price Drive and Elliott and 2nd Streets, the former cold storage site. I'm not just saying it because I'm doing it, but as a resident, it's nice to see that there's additional housing for other families to move to the village. Growing up in Youngstown, there hasn't been a ton of development, frankly, he said. I grew up on Lake Road, just outside of the village, and for years there were maybe some renovations on residential projects, but not much. I am inspired by my grandfather, who was a local builder. He built everything between the old Carter Farm and the Hymiak Farm on Lake Road. I think it's cool. I think, as a resident, it'd be nice to introduce more families to the village. Living in the village is fantastic. There is a lot to offer, and as far as locations go, I think it's the bee's knees. When fully open, Riverview Landing will offer 8 one-story units, 2 two-bed and 6 three-bed, and 7 two-story units, 3-bed, 2.5 bath. 4 units facing Nancy Price Drive are now ready. 6 more on Elliott will soon follow. The final 5, along 2nd, will be ready this fall. Each modern living quarter offers spacious rooms, a complete appliance package, a gas fireplace, a private basement, a concrete driveway, and a 1-car plus garage. Of the development, licensed real estate salesperson Dana Hollingsworth noted it's designed to appeal to downsizers, retirees, empty nesters, and those seeking maintenance-free living. She said the community will feature monthly HOA fees projected to be under $360, covering lawn care and snow removal. The homes are officially structured as condominiums, providing potential tax advantages and savings for homeowners. In fact, these homes will benefit from condominium tax status, Hollingsworth said. That means homeowners can expect to pay lower property taxes than they would for a comparable single-family home in the same area, which is a significant financial advantage. She noted, the project not only provides new housing inventory in the village of Youngstown, but also revitalizes an underutilized property, contributing to the continued growth and enhancement of the local community. As construction progresses, Riverview Landing is expected to become an attractive housing option for residents looking to remain in the area while simplifying their lifestyle. DiMiglio's firm has done environmental and remediation work for Youngstown. He became aware of the village's desire to see something come of this property through a conversation related to his adaptive reuse projects. As of the past few years, the roof had completely collapsed, and the east wall was starting to separate. The village was at a point where they really had to find somebody to, or at least explore options to get the building torn down, and the cost of tearing the building down was almost $500,000. It was very burdensome for the village, DiMiglio said. Attempting to try and make it structurally sound, it was just too cost prohibitive, he said. And I also think that at the time when they were looking at putting the apartments in there wasn't a market that could accommodate that. DiMiglio said he found a developer that was interested in putting together a package. The village put out an RFP. We responded to the RFP with an idea. The original idea I wasn't super enthusiastic about because the original response was to put in 27 individual condominium units. It's a little over a 2-acre parcel. That's a lot. I mean, I'm a resident, and I wanted it to complement the village. And certainly, I wanted it to help the village, offer some more housing in the village, because there really isn't a ton, and also to shore up local businesses. When an agreement on size couldn't be reached between the original partners, DiMiglio thought, at that point, I had kicked the can far enough down the road, so I decided, well, I'll just do it myself. I did. I was able to get another partner, which we did the demolition, and then pursued the path with less investors. Eventually, we reduced it to 17 units, and then down to 15 units. At the former cold storage site, the building had undergone brownfields cleanup in the 90s. The EPA had come in and replaced a bunch of soil in and around the property that was affected by ammonia coolant. It was signed off on. It was clean. But the structure itself had asbestos insulation, mainly in the crawl space and the lower floors of the building, DiMiglio said. Obviously, as the building started to degrade and water got into the building, that insulation starts to break down. So, the problem mainly with the building and the reason why the cost was so much was the asbestos debris throughout the interior of the project. Our phase, the demolition phase, had to be done as an asbestos project, basically. Everything on the property had to get out, except for stuff that was cleanable. AMD Environmental Consultants oversaw the remediation process. DiMiglio said the response he received from the village board was that they were super excited about the potential, obviously widening the tax base, but also using a piece of property that, if nobody had done anything, it probably wouldn't have made it another couple winters. The east end at the top of the wall had pulled away nearly 7 inches. The first foundation for the new development was dug in mid-summer 2025. DiMiglio said, the location is fantastic. The east side of the property faces Veterans Park. The fire station is right there. It's a really beautiful little street on 2nd. As a neighborhood, it's very quaint. He added, I just think it's far enough away to be very peaceful and kind of almost like it's its own little ecosystem. You're an 8-minute drive to Lewiston and a 15-minute drive from all the resources above the hill. So for me, anyways, and again, speaking as a resident, not somebody that's trying to sell condos, I think it's an ideal place to live. So if you're looking to downsize or retire, it's quiet enough, but also accessible enough to be a great place to settle. Village of Youngstown trustee Colleen Somerville said, as someone who lives near the Riverview Landing condominiums, I am grateful to have them in my neighborhood. From the thoughtful design and beautiful green space at the center of the property to the attractive architecture and attention to detail, this development is a wonderful addition to our community. Transforming the site of the former cold storage building into a vibrant residential space has brought new life and energy to the area while preserving the charm and character that make Youngstown so special. I especially appreciate the sense of community that Riverview Landing encourages, creating a place where neighbors can gather, connect, and enjoy their surroundings. As a nearby resident, I believe these condominiums enhance the beauty of our neighborhood and contribute positively to the future of our village. The headline for our next article is Lewiston delves into financials as town board reviews FY25 audit. Monday was a delving into the numbers session for Lewiston Town Board members. News included a favorable review on Lewiston's financial picture for 2025 by the town's auditors, Drescher and Malecki. Also, a tender agreement on a performance bond related to the Riverfront Park Pavilion project, board action on the Lewiston Environmental Commission, a proposed new local law on shipping containers, and finalizing a new Lewiston Police Department contract. Carl Widmer, CPA, partner with municipal auditors Drescher and Malecki, LLP, opened with positive remarks on the state of Lewiston's finances, particularly with regard to the town's management of its fund balance accounts. Widmer said auditors found no major issues as he proceeded to review the spending numbers from Lewiston's 5 major accounts: the general fund, town/outside village, the highway department fund, and the water district and sewer district accounts. When you look at the general fund, you see some years were higher than revenues and vice versa. That's kind of how it functions when you're operating as a government, he said. You almost want to have a net zero. Just raise enough revenue to afford the goods and services. Focusing on 2025, Widmer said Lewiston's general fund total expenditures were pretty consistent at $3.5 million, with revenues just below $3 million and $534,000 in spending utilized from fund balance. Here, Widmer said the town met its expectations on managing fund balance. He said the town had $515,000 in unassigned fund balance, representing 15% of its general fund spending. Widmer said Lewiston is continuing its trend of decreased fund balance spending over the past 5 years. Looking at the town's B fund, town/outside village, Widmer reported increased town spending over revenues for 2025, with $945,000 from its fund balance account in 2025. He said the numbers also showed greater town restraint, evidenced from $1.16 million in fund balance spending in 2024. In the highway department account, Widmer said revenues and expenditures both increased in 2025. This included $1.37 million in fund balance money toward overall highway operations in excess of $4.5 million. Here, he said, highway spending was pretty much breaking even and performed better than was initially expected. Widmer said highway currently has a fund balance of some $1.9 million available. In the water district fund, Widmer presented revenue numbers of more than $3.5 million and expenditures taking from fund balance of $2.871 million going toward specific use. He said these numbers are consistent and reflect a higher trend among municipalities of using fund balance toward overall spending. In Lewiston's case, a $400,000 increase in fund balance use in 2025. This is really spent at the town's preference, Widmer said, of the monies delegated toward water district repairs and maintenance needs. In the sewer account, he said spending likewise increased in 2025 with more than $4.1 million in expenditures/transfers. Widmer attributed this to outlays spent in capital spending on some significant sewer district work, with fund balance use representing roughly 25% of that number. Overall, he said the town audit had no major findings and that all fund balance numbers reported are pretty consistent with spending for the town's accounts. In other news from the session, Town Attorney Alfonso Mara Bax announced settlement of a tender agreement with the bonding company Lexington National Insurance. The settlement is related to an earlier contract with A1 Land Care for construction of a pavilion at the town's new Riverfront Park. There was an issue with the original contract for Riverfront Park. We declared that that particular contract was in violation. We then entered into negotiations with his bonding company, Bax said. That has culminated in a tender agreement that has been agreed upon with everyone's input that effectively will resolve the issues between the town and the bonding company. Bax said the agreement allows the town to again contract the work out to A1 Land Care, which handled the first pavilion project at the park. Board members approved the plan soon after. This was a performance bond, Supervisor Steve Broderick said. And when we ended the contract with the first company, the performance bond put it out to bid. We are very fortunate that the bid was right on line with what we originally had. This agreement is actually costing the bond company nothing and the town nothing. We're being held to our original bid that we put out there. This is a perfect example where a performance bond worked out. The town announced updates on the status of the long inactive Lewiston Environmental Commission. Last year, the town proposed Local Law Number 1 of 2025, intended to terminate the Environmental Commission as it had been known and replace it with a Planning and Environmental Review Board, Bax said. But the town board never finalized the law, and its review remains in the public hearing phase. That was brought up last year. We had a public hearing, but for some reason, it never came to fruition for a final vote, Bax said. Councilmember Sarah Wachter presented a motion to close the aforementioned public hearing. She then proposed to table Local Law Number 1 completely for further town review. I would like to table the local law and give Councilman Bill Berg and I time to work on it. I believe that there are sections that are a little vague. We've been given no directions as far as what a breakout committee would look like, and actually what that breakout would be assigned to do. In response, Bax advised Town Board to leave the public hearing review phase open. We can make some changes and reintroduce a revised version of this, he said. We can then publish it for a further public hearing for any changes that are made. Broderick came out in support of the move. We're very fortunate that our planning board has 3 qualified people in this area, he said. Their background on environmental issues would allow town officials to tweak the wording of the local law as needed. This will make it a little more black and white on what the environmental aspect of this is. With that, the town tabled any further action until its next meeting. Broderick announced the town has finalized a contract between the Lewiston Police Department and its Teamsters Union. Our attorney who negotiated our police contract, Heather Giambra, and I worked hard for over a year with our police department and the union that represents them, Broderick said. Town board members went on to approve the new LPD contract, which took effect immediately. Councilman Rod Morial introduced Local Law Number 4 for 2026, titled the Town of Lewiston Shipping Container Moratorium of 2026. It seeks to temporarily suspend approvals for shipping containers while the town reviews and adopts appropriate modifications to its comprehensive zoning regulations. Once approved by the town board and adopted, the local law would remain in effect for 12 months unless extended or earlier terminated by the board. The town announced a public hearing would be held at 6 p.m. Monday, August 24th to review the proposed local law. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Tribune/Sentinel covering Niagara County and Grand Island on the Niagara Frontier radio reading service. And staying in Lewiston for our next article, Town, Village of Lewiston teaming up with Upward Niagara for building improvements. The town of Lewiston is teaming with the Village of Lewiston to provide more than $167,000 worth of renovations to the Upward Niagara Chamber of Commerce building, which also doubles as a welcome center at the Academy Park corner of Center and South 9th Streets. Specifically, the roof, side door, and 9 windows will be replaced. The new roofing is described as synthetic cedar shake, and the windows will be vinyl-clad wood. This project was spearheaded by Town of Lewiston Supervisor Steve Broderick and Village of Lewiston Deputy Mayor Tina Coppins. As a trustee sitting on the village board, I have been collaborating closely with Town Supervisor Steve Broderick on a few projects for the village, one being our historical building at Academy Park, Coppins said. I am happy to announce that the HPC board has approved the windows, doors, and roofing material for this project, which has been long overdue. With the help of our village engineer, Mike Marino, and funding being provided by the town's energy fund, bidding out of this project and receiving sealed bids will be happening very soon. Town Supervisor Broderick and the town board is also helping us upgrade our electrical for the Red Brick School through the same town energy fund, a project that trustee Nick Condi has been trying to get done since 2022. Some of the engineering was previously done, but a little more work needs to happen on the plans. Coppins added, I would like to thank Supervisor Steve Broderick and the town board, and look forward to working with them in the future for more exciting projects that have already been discussed. Stay tuned. Upward Niagara Chamber of Commerce President Amanda Hazley said, we're thrilled that our building is getting new windows, doors, and a much-needed roof. A big thank you to Supervisor Broderick and Trustee Coppins for helping make this project a reality. Teamwork makes the dream work, and we're grateful to everyone involved. Now located at 895 Center Street, the historic building was moved across Center Street in November 2009 and formally opened in May 2011. The structure used to be where Well Now currently runs an urgent care center. In September 2012, the Niagara River Region Chamber of Commerce was granted permission to use the house as its headquarters. And moving on now to our next article, Lewiston Art Festival reaches major milestone, promises unforgettable event August 8th and 9th. 60 years, thousands of artists, countless memories. On August 8th and 9th, the Lewiston Art Festival celebrates its 60th anniversary, welcoming thousands of visitors to experience more than 200 artists, live music, theater, dance, interactive art experiences, and the vibrant community spirit that has made the festival a beloved tradition for generations. The Lewiston Art Festival is the signature event of the Lewiston Council on the Arts and a celebration of everything that makes our community special, Lewiston Council on the Arts Executive Director Maria Fortuna Dean said. As we mark the festival's 60th anniversary, we're also giving thanks for 6 decades of artists, volunteers, sponsors, community partners, and visitors who together have created this wonderful heritage for us all. She added, we are deeply grateful for the continued support of our elected officials at every level of government that has helped our festival flourish. The Village of Lewiston, the Town of Lewiston, and the Niagara County Legislature recognize that investment in the arts is an investment in our community. A thriving arts sector strengthens our local economy, attracts visitors, supports small businesses, and enriches the quality of life for residents. Lewiston has earned a reputation as a destination for artists and art lovers alike, and the Art Festival continues to be one of the community's greatest assets. Town of Lewiston Supervisor Steve Broderick said, the Lewiston Art Festival is one of the defining traditions of our community, and a weekend that people look forward to every year. One of the most common questions I hear from people outside our area is, when is the Lewiston Art Festival? That says so much about its reputation and impact. As we celebrate the festival's anniversary, it's especially meaningful to recognize 60 years of bringing artists, visitors, and our community together. It's absolutely one of my favorite events of the year. Village of Lewiston Mayor Dan Cota said, the 60th anniversary of the Lewiston Art Festival is a remarkable milestone and a testament to its lasting importance. It is one of our most valued traditions, bringing people together while supporting artists, local businesses, and our community's cultural identity. The pedestrian-friendly layout will close Center Street to cars from 4th to 8th Streets and will fill the village's main artery with art and live music all along the way. What to watch, do, and enjoy. The young actors from Niagara University Repertory Theater, NURT, will perform enchanting interpretations of beloved children's books and familiar tales, from Billy Goat's Gruff to Lily's Purple Plastic Purse, and all will be charmed by these timeless stories retold. Look for them in front of St. Peter's Rectory at 11 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. on both Saturday and Sunday. Buffalo Toronto Public Media will broadcast live from the festival from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. Saturday. At 5 interactive stations located throughout the festival, visitors of all ages are invited to help create Art Is, a collaborative community art experience celebrating the festival's 60th anniversaries. Participants can contribute to a collaborative mural celebrating the power of art, complete the phrase Art Is by responding to creative prompts with short reflections that will become part of a 60th anniversary community archive. Weave a ribbon strip of fabric or fiber, along with a written message of hope, gratitude, or encouragement, into a collective textile representing our community's shared connections and aspirations. Help build a community mosaic by adding buttons, beads, bottle caps, game pieces, costume jewelry, and other colorful treasures that have been collected over the past several weeks. Participate in a festival-wide photo scavenger hunt that encourages exploration, creativity, and discovery throughout the event. Photos will be shared via social media in the coming weeks. Together, these activities invite festival goers to leave their own creative mark and become part of the Lewiston Art Festival's 60-year legacy. Our hope is to create an experience that reminds people that art is not separate from ordinary life, Fortuna Dean said. Art lives in shared experiences, in images, music, storytelling, and in our memory. This project invites the community to help define what art has meant here over the last 60 years and what it can become moving forward. This year's Indigenous experience, centered around the gazebo and sponsored by AMD Environmental Services, Seneca Niagara Resorts and Casinos, and Sevenson Environmental Services, offers a full schedule of Indigenous cultural offerings, all curated by Mary A. Claus, Mohawk/Cayuga, Bear Clan. Programming includes dancing by Hoops of Hope and Resilience and music by Daryl Tonema, the Iroquois Indian Band, and Thunderbird. We will invite festival goers to join in Iroquois-style social dances and songs. The steps and songs and the traditional dress will be explained so that all can share firsthand in this wonderful experience. Visit Richard D. Hamill and Michelle Elise Burnett to learn about the Trail of Treaties, discover one of the largest wampum displays in the U.S., and learn how to make a wampum bead using traditional tools. Claus will honor the traditions of the Haudenosaunee people by opening and closing the Indigenous experience with addresses in the Haudenosaunee language, as well as leading the children's make and take art activities. Please see the schedule and visit the Indigenous artisans to experience the rich tradition and contemporary culture of our Haudenosaunee friends and neighbors. In keeping with our commitment to fostering the development of young artists, the Emerging Artist Showcase, located in the Key Bank parking lot, will feature the work of artists aged 21 and under. Artists who are early on in their development will have the opportunity to gain exhibiting experience without adhering to the more stringent requirements for professional artists. Don't miss this chance to start collecting the work of these rising stars. This year's Chalk Walk theme is One World, and we will have 9 teams of all ages with prize categories for youth artists, emerging artists, high school, and advanced artists, individuals 18 years or older, as well as audience choice. We are grateful to our sponsors, Key Bank and First Presbyterian Church, whose support makes it possible for this to be a true community event. Be sure to grab a piece of chalk and add your special touch to our Draw With Us group street mural. For participating art festival artists, Modern Corporation generously sponsors the Modern Art Awards, given in 6 categories: painting, mixed media, graphic arts/photography, artistic crafts 1, jewelry, artistic crafts 2, ceramic, glass, metal, artistic crafts 3, wood, leather, fiber. Each category will award first, second, and third place prizes. Best in Show and Best Booth will also be awarded. For the safety and comfort of our 2- and 4-legged friends, we strongly discourage bringing non-service dogs to the festival. If it's too hot for your bare feet, it's too hot for their bare paws. Art festival sponsors include the Town of Lewiston, Village of Lewiston, Niagara County Legislature, Niagara Falls Bridge Commission, Modern Corporation, Sevenson Environmental Services, AMD Environmental Consultants, Inc., Seneca Niagara Resorts and Casinos, West Her, and Fran and Marie Williams. Chalk art sponsors include Key Bank and First Presbyterian Bank. We are grateful to Tin Pan Alley for providing a delicious sit-down breakfast for the artists. Festival hours are 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Saturday and 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Sunday. For more information, visit www.artcouncil.org. And our final article for this hour, Rock Titans Government Mule returns to Art Park. Warren Haynes previews show. If you think a jukebox holds a lot of songs, wait till you get a load of Warren Haynes. Of late, the Government Mule frontman and former Allman Brothers Band player issued his 4th studio album, Million Voices Whisper. He followed that up with The Whisper Session. He's about to release the expanded, remixed, and remastered version of Tales of Ordinary Madness, as well as the Dreams and Songs symphonic album. And when he and his band return to Lewiston for an August 6th headline appearance at Art Park, they'll be playing Behind Peace, Like a River. Most tours that we do, we probably play over 100 songs across the full run, Haynes said in a recent phone interview. I don't know how many are in our catalog, as far as if you count songs we played once or twice, but it's well over 1,000, I would think. On any given night, fans might hear songs including Banks of the Deep End, Wake Up Dead, Soul Shine, or Beautifully Broken. With 20-plus albums to date, there's no shortage of material. Haynes explained, when we come back to any area, we consult the log of set lists and see what we played the last time and the time before that, and make sure that it's completely different. Also, tonight will be different from last night and the night before. We also try to just take into consideration the energy of the audience, what kind of audience it is, and what kind of songs seem to connect. If it's an outdoor show, it's different. If it's indoor, it's different. And of course, a lot of it's just based on what we feel like playing. We want to do a different show every night for ourselves, first and foremost, to keep ourselves fresh and happy. But the audience embraces that as well. A lot of our audience keeps coming back to multiple shows, and I meet people all the time that say, oh, tonight's my 50th show, or tonight's my 100th show, or whatever the case is, and I'm extremely grateful for that. Still, a little mind-boggling. I think if we were one of those bands that played the same 15 songs the same way night after night, that wouldn't be the case. For Peace, Like a River, Government Mule was forced to go backward, not musically, but in terms of recording. Normally the band would play new songs live, take them out and give them some air and room to grow before getting into the studio and making them permanent. The COVID lockdown forced all of us into rethinking our strategies, especially people in the music business, Haynes said. And for me, that translated to writing as much music as I could. That was my way of dealing or coping, and I found up writing more music than I've ever written in decades. We felt like, since we had all this time on our hands, we should just go into the studio and make 2 records at the same time, which we did. But we weren't able to test drive any of it in front of an audience, and we weren't able to really go into rehearsal mode, other than going straight into the studio and rehearsing there. So, it forced us to take a different approach to the recording, which wound up being not only fun, but very rewarding. He added, a lot of bands work that way and really enjoy it. I think the Rolling Stones work that way a lot. But it was just a different way to make a record, but a necessary method, I think. And I'm really happy with the way it turned out. Now that the new Government Mule songs have been shared, some of them have changed quite drastically, but that's always the case. Haynes said, when you play a song the 50th time or the 100th time, sometimes they grow in ways that you wouldn't have expected or predicted. There are songs like The River Only Flows One Way. That song is different every time we play it, and that's the way it should be. What we captured on the studio recording is where it was at that moment, which we're really proud of. But we're not looking to recreate that because it was so improvisational in nature that we want to take that same spirit on a nightly basis. There are other ones like Gone Too Long. That's changed a little bit. It's become a little more of a rock song, same as it ever was. We're playing with a similar arrangement, but it's grown in some interesting ways as well. Some of the more song-oriented ones don't change as much through the years. J.J. Gray and Mofro will provide support for the Kicking in Your Stall show at Art Park. We love those guys, Haynes said. We've done shows together in the past, and they're fantastic. It'll be a wonderful evening of music. Of course, we love Art Park. We've played there many times. We're just looking forward to a great night. He added, that area has always been really good to Government Mule ever since we started in 1994. I guess it's that area just has a lot of serious music fans. You know, people that take music as a big, important part of their life. So many of our fans are really fanatical about music, and I love that. And the Buffalo area seems to have an abundance of those kinds of folks. Later this year, Government Mule will hit the road with another Art Park regular, Ziggy Marley. We've been friends for a long time, Haynes said. We've shared the stage together a few times. He sat in with the Allman Brothers going back over 10 years ago. He and I wrote a couple of songs together, one of which is called Dreaming the Same Dream, which is the title of our tour. That song appeared on my live album, Live at Moody Theater. The other song we wrote together has never been recorded, so I'm hoping to brush that one off, too, and see where it goes. Tickets for Government Mule are on sale now. Visit www.artpark.net. You've been listening to a reading of articles and features from the July 30th issues of the Tribune/Sentinel, covering Niagara County and Grand Island. We read from the Tribune/Sentinel every Saturday at 4 p.m. Your reader has been Will Evans. Thank you for listening.
Up next, coming on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have the Lockport Union Sun and Journal. Following that at 6 o'clock is the Jamestown Post Journal. And at 7 o'clock, we have the Niagara Falls Review. Stay with us for these readings and more. If you or people you know shop at any of the Dash's supermarkets, please save Dash's register tapes for radio reading. Our agency receives $2 for every $100 in Dash's register tapes. Radio reading has raised thousands of dollars so far. Anyone can drop off their Dash's tapes to the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service at 1199 Harlem Road, Cheektowaga, between William and Clinton Streets. Or Dash's tapes can be mailed to the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service at 1199 Harlem Road, Cheektowaga, New York, 14227. Any questions on Dash's tapes for radio reading? Call us at 716-821-5555, and thanks for caring. The following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print disability.